Should BYU get in a bidding war with Penn State for Kalani Sitake? Hasn't that already happened?
Okay, that's not. Is it right to do? I mean that's why the question is posed because it is
happening. Yeah.
Because if they didn't, then it would be why didn't they?
I thought it was more in the future. They have a decision to make to get in it or not. But they are clearly in it, and Tony's on board.
It might be in the future again.
Yeah, you're right. 100%. BYU's on a much bigger stage than the Lavelle era, and he's doing better than Lavelle. This is about assistant coaches, Jay Hill especially. He's all about taking care of his guys. If it doesn't happen, it'll be the biggest mistake in BYU athletics history.
Well, I don't think you can take care of Jay Hill, though. Because Jay Hill
is going to want something that doesn't involve cash at some point?
No. Jay Hill most likely, you never know, but most likely would leave for a head coaching spot. So they're not going to pay a coordinator head coaching spot.
Money, right.
So they've already established with Jay Hill what his value is relative to defensive coordinators. Now, if he were to leave for another defensive coordinator spot and he's getting more money in that, well, then that's another story. But the assumption would be is that if Jay Hill leaves and when he leaves, whatever it might be, that it would be for a head coaching, and you can't do that. So the Jay Hill thing, I don't think is on the table right now. He's making coordinator money pretty good, but when he receives an attractive head coaching opportunity, he's already turned down a job. That's a fact here. He did it last year. And that head coaching spot would naturally be paid more money. I don't think you can have your coordinators. Well, I was offered a head coaching job at Arizona or whomever, Kansas, and you're going to pay him that kind of money. That doesn't seem likely.
No, that does not. You can maybe pay him what a G5 head coach would make, but not what a Power 4 coach would make. Donald says, I think we should pay him as a top coach in the Big 12 around $8 million a year. Penn State offers more than Kalani leaves, who will always love him and all he did, but then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line there. Life does go on. Football will be played and so forth. People come, people go. And if he stays there, there'll come a time when he would retire. And who knows when that would be. Maybe it's a Lavelle Edwards run. Maybe it's 15 years, whatever. So the life does go on. And I think that, and Chris Hill used to talk about this a lot with Majerus, that you have to be prepared at all times because things can happen, right? And it used to be BYU coaches never left. Well, that's done now. They do leave for whatever reason.
Bronco left, Steve Cleveland left.
And neither of those guys were BYU guys.
Mark Pope left. Yeah.
He was not a BYU guy. I'm going to go a little Swahili for you, per se.
Per se.
Swahili.
But, yeah. It's little known. People think that that's French, but no.
Okay.
It's
Swahili.
The French took it from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Thank goodness we got PK here for etymology.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And obviously I know biology.
Hey-o.
So with that in mind, I've completely lost my train of thought.
No, I thought so. I thought we got a little distracted for the 7 o'clock hour. This is more 9 o'clock move.
No, those dudes were not BYU guys. So it didn't sting. And Pope, I can remember saying right off the bat, hey, if things break, he's gone. And I wrote about it at KSL.com, and I got ripped on it. Where do you think I get? I don't make this stuff up, man.
Yeah, they just don't want to hear it, so they attack you personally.
Yeah.
It's true. It doesn't matter. It ruins my mood.
Right.
Okay, well.
And so that did it.
It doesn't matter what you
But the
think.
point is,
dominoes did fall, and he left.
Multiple BYU coaches have left, and the fact is, how close to the school did you grow up? Did you play there as an athlete in your college
era?
left?
Yeah, I understand that. But so be it. I mean, Mark Pope left, and you got Kevin Young, and Kevin Young looks like, I don't know if he's a better coach, but the opportunity to win more is certainly higher with Kevin Young than it was with Mark Pope. And that's 0 against Mark Pope. Nothing against him whatsoever. He may win a national title. Be surprised if he doesn't, really, when you think about it. given the position that he's in. So it would sting more. But I think BYU needs to do what they have been doing. It's okay to get in a bidding war. They used to talk about how they'll never do that. And as recently as when Kalani got the job, and we talked about it yesterday when we were there for the press conference, and Tom Holmoe said, we're not going to match that salary. And it seemed, of course not, man. It's $3.5 million. Well, my gosh, that's nothing to what these guys are getting now and just a decade later. So go ahead and do what you can do. Max out what you can do. Penn State can probably do more. And then you just look at them and say, hey, man, go. Do what you got to do. But make sure. The thing that I like about BYU right now, and maybe it's a large portion of the boosters are in it, and things have changed so much in the last 10 years, that they're done with, well, we're not going to get into bidding war. What they are, in a sense. And it's not just how much money you're going to pay him, it's how much you're going to allot to fund the program A to Z.
Underline that and put exclamation points on it. It is not just Kalani's salary that's going to decide this. The other stuff decides whether Kalani can win as much as Kalani does. I think all these coaches realize it is a team game, and they are sitting atop. You were quoting numbers. It was University of Utah numbers, but it's Big 12. What were the numbers that you saw about, like, they spent 50? But they spent 50, but they bought in 90. Right? So you have and that's a football program. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's an AD and a president. Okay. But the football coach, when people, and they've been saying this for decades, well, they've really become CEOs. Yeah, there's CEOs sitting astride a $90 million company, essentially. Right? Now, to have that $90 million company succeed, they don't think it's all about them. They care a lot about the coordinators. They care a lot about the position coaches. They care a lot about all the other jobs that are added on, and you can go out to strength and conditioning and trainers and all that. And now they care a lot about NIL money because essentially they're paying their employees, even though nobody wants to call them that. That's what they are. They're paying their employees, and they want to have the best employees because those people are all essentially on one-year deals, and they can all walk and go play somewhere else, and they frequently do. So I think this is a lot about all those other things and a little bit about Kalani's salary because, of course, you're worried about your own paycheck and you're astride a $90 million corporation or whatever your school is at, but that's the ballpark.
If you're making $3 million and someone is offering you $10 million,
that's
going to give you
that's going to get your attention for sure. But at the same time, if they're offering 10 and you're offering 10, but then you see their assistant pool is 50% or 100% bigger, and if you see their NIL budget, if they're paying their D line what you're paying your whole defense, you're going to think, oh, what are my odds of winning here long term? I can piece it together and I can find the diamonds in the rough once or twice, but like ultimately, I'm going to be in trouble. So they're going to go to the better funded program.
I don't think BYU's ever going to be in trouble. I think they've reached the level now where they've got money to compete, and they've gone 22-3 with this money. So, and they've beaten Utah twice for all the money that Utah has and is putting into it, blah, blah, blah. So they're already there.
How much do the coaches think that they've got the money to do that, and how much do the coaches think they've pulled a rabbit out of the hat?
I don't think they've pulled a rabbit out of the hat.
Okay, but what do they think? Because what they think matters a lot.
I think they're very confident in their staff and their cohesiveness that they have with the staff. Yeah. And Kalani has built, for lack of a better phrase, a great brotherhood among the staff.
I think that's all true. Yeah. I think they're frustrated with their NIL money. And I also think they think where it's going. It's not just about where are you now, but it's where do they think it's going to be?
Okay, but their NIL money, I don't know that they control their NIL money going forward.
That's an interesting point.
They'll have the $20.5 million that Bosco and Chad and these guys are charged with raising, and obviously Brian spearheading everything. And they feel like they'll have that money. And in my conversations that began like 3 years ago.
Oh, here we go. I think you're about to get to an important point. Let's hear it.
They'd say, once we get to this settlement, we'll be there. And so now the NIL, that's sort of outside their
purview.
I was going to say parameters. I don't know what the right word is because it's not totally outside.
Exactly.
But it's couched as it is outside, but it's not.
And I think the other thing, just to build off the point a little bit, is the $20 million is for all the athletes in the department, at each school, they get to decide what percentage goes to what sport.
Yeah, but 75% minimum is going to football everywhere. That's already been decided.
So I wonder if part of this is what percentage. Penn State's telling them what percentage goes to football.
Well, they're going to go as high as they can go, and because the money that you invest in football comes back to you tenfold, as we've just used the example with the U of U, and I got this out of the Deseret News, that there's 90 and they spent 50, so they make a $40 million. Well, that's why you're having the ski team doing its thing and so forth and so on. So if you want these other sports, you have to invest into the football, because that is by far the hugest, biggest moneymaker. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 in a sense. You have to do it, and they're going to do it. What do the other people do? That's an intriguing thing, because as we said, you put your name on a building and it's there for 25 years, and for the first 10 years it's state of the art, and then somebody else comes along and creates something else, but it's still a functional building basically for the lifetime of that coach as a coach.
Yeah.
And then what's it going to be? The NIL, you can give Grizzly Bear all this money, and that's great, but then you're going to have to give Ryder money, and then some kid who's in the 8th grade right now, you're going to have to give him money. Yeah. And it's perpetual and on, and you just wonder if that will peter out at some point. I don't know how that's going to be. It'll be interesting to see in 10 to 15 years. But that $20 million, which will go up, these kids will still get paid, and will that sort of level it out? BYU felt all along in conversations with multiple coaches that once we got to that point, they were assured that BYU would have that money, and the majority of that money would go to football. So they really felt like it was a field equalizer in a sense. And I think we're seeing it. I mean, they beat Utah twice.
Yep.
Since they've been in the conference 3 times, once before that, and they've handled everybody but Tech. That's it. This year, I mean, they didn't play everybody,
right?
But
they're 11-1. We get a point.
I mean, that's awesome. So they feel like it's already there. So they feel like they've done a whole lot. And if Penn State wants to go through the roof, they're just going to say, "Hey, best of luck to you, man." And they feel like they're in a good spot to go ahead and have a successful program with or without Kalani. But they want him. He's their guy. And now is BYU Kalani's guy, in a sense. That's the decision he has to make. And I think in conversations and all that, the longer this goes, that means he's waffling about leaving. Now, I've not gotten that from him, because I've not spoken to him. I've not texted him, nothing. Because there's no point. He's not going to respond anyway, and I don't want to bug him. I don't want to ruin the relationship over something I know I'm not going to get. So then you go to other areas to find that information. This has been going on for at least a week. I got the email last week that this was going to happen. I thought it was a little too strong when I got it, but as time has gone on, it's become stronger and clearer that this was a distinct possibility. Now, you've had all this time now. You've got at least a week. You've gotten more information along that week. BYU stepped up to the plate. They're going to, because of their rep of the church school and it's seedy and all that, as some critics, don't worry about your critics, BYU, because you're never going to please them. No matter what you do, the critics are going to hate you. So get over that and don't care about that. Don't try to appease the public by saying, "Oh, no, we're not the highest bidder." The critics aren't going to believe it anyway, and the ones who are going to believe it, they already believe it. And you could say, "No, we were the 14,000th lowest bidder," and your supporters are going to say, "See, I told you," and your critics are going to say, "You're full of BS." So you're not going to win either way. Your critics are always going to be here, and part of it is the deal, well, we've got different standards. Once you say we've got different standards, what you're saying is we've got better standards. We're better people. The Lord steps in, and that pisses people off. Whether you like it or not, that's true. This is real talk here. If it gets me in trouble, so be it. But that's real talk. So, but that's what you say, and then they change over, and you get a new education dude, and he's new to it, and he likes the little fame that goes with it. Yeah, well, these are our standards, and we're different, and we're unique, because it's fresh to him to go ahead and say it. Stop saying it, and maybe it'll tone it down, but they want to keep saying it, so you're going to irritate a bunch of people, right? Fine. Go ahead and say it, but those people over here are always going to be irritated, and the people, no matter what you do, you can do no wrong, you're going to have them. So just go about your business and do what you do, and don't worry about, well, you're going to pay Kalani 25 times more than you ever paid Lavelle Edwards. But that's the way it is these days. And if you want to compete, go ahead and do it. And they are doing it, and now Kalani has a decision to make. Do I want to go here or do I want to stay here? That's it. And life will go on either way.
If they can figure out what the numbers are for the schools they're competing with, and if they're in that range, then I would be surprised if he win. I wouldn't rule it out. I'm like you, I don't have any inside information, but he does have a lot of ties here, and he is invested here.
No question.
And he does have a good thing going, and
Absolutely.
there is a lot
That's
of
a draw.
unity in the community inside the football building. They build a staff that seems to like each other.
They're rocking,
along.
man. There's no doubt about it.
Right. And so to start over, but if the numbers are at different levels, different stratospheres, maybe they don't agree on what the numbers are and what the competition, maybe they're not speaking the same language here on both sides of the table in this negotiation. But I think that there's whether it's misplaced or not, I think there's a lot of angst about whether they have what they need going forward because the landscape is changing. And I think that maybe one of the problems is, yes, you're switching to this where it's a school with $20 million. There's supposed to be real limits on NIL, and everybody's having a hard time figuring out what those real limits are. And I think football coaches tend to be paranoid, and I think most football coaches think, yeah, that sounds good. That train isn't slowing down. I think that's what most football coaches think.
It's not.
I don't know specifically that that's what the BYU coaches think, but of what I've heard, I'm leaning towards that, what they think. And so I think if there's a disconnect, that's probably where it sits.
I think they'll have enough money to compete. If you're looking for the most money, then go where you're going to get the most money.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.